Welcome to Imagineering Through Time. Join me as we go on a journey talking about the history of Disney and many of the Disney parks. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can be notified each time we post a new video. Welcome back, Disney fans. Today we're diving into the story of a Disney attraction that, in a way, I have a personal connection to. One that's been on an incredible journey long before it ever arrived at Walt Disney World. It's a ride that's been delighting guests for over a century, long before it ever made its way to Magic Kingdom. In fact, this attraction has traveled across multiple states, changed names, and undergone a complete transformation, yet most visitors have no idea just how far it's come. It's the oldest attraction in all of Walt Disney World, but where did it really come from, and how did it end up in Fantasyland? To find out, we need to go all the way back to 1917, when this story first began. The Carousel ride was originally built in 1917 by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company, one of the premier carousel manufacturers of the time. Fun fact, this company still exists today, but is now known as Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters, Inc. The company has manufactured many coasters, which include the Wild One at Six Flags America and Thunderhawk in Dorney Park. Now, this particular carousel was known as the Liberty Carousel, PTC number 46, and its first home was Palace Gardens at Belle Isle Park in Detroit, Michigan. Each horse was handcrafted with intricate details, gold leaf embellishments, and expressive faces that made them feel almost alive. The Liberty was elaborately decorated in red, white, and blue with shields, eagles, flags, Miss Liberty, Roman chariots, extravagant sleighs, prancing horses, and scenes of the American countryside. Daniel C. Mueller carved many of the horses and chariot boards, while other craftsmen who were mainly German and Italian created the outer and inner facings. The band organ was imported from Italy and provided Liberty's music. At the time, the Liberty was the largest carousel in North America. It featured a 60-foot platform, 80 hand-carved wooden horses, 4 chariots and sleighs, seating for 99 passengers riding 5 abreast, and 3,000 lights. But this carousel wasn't destined to stay in Michigan forever. In 1928, the carousel would be returned to the Toboggan Company for refurbishment and sold to Olympic Park in Irvington, New Jersey.
All right, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody your name?
Irvington, New Jersey.
Now, earlier I said that this had a personal connection for me. I actually grew up in Irvington, New Jersey, and as a kid, I was obsessed with carousels. The lights, the music, the horses, and little did I know at the time that I shared some background with a carousel I would find myself riding on my first trip to Disney World back in 2001. For decades, the Liberty Carousel was a centerpiece of Olympic Park, bringing joy to families across New Jersey. But like many classic amusement parks, Olympic Park eventually closed, and that's when Disney stepped in. In 1967, as Walt Disney World was being developed, Imagineers needed a carousel to serve as the heart of Fantasyland. Rather than build one from scratch, they wanted something with history, craftsmanship, and a sense of nostalgia, and they found exactly that in the Liberty Carousel from Olympic Park. Each horse was restored, given new coats of 23-karat gold, silver, and bronze leafing, and repainted with scenes from Cinderella's story. To provide 90 horses, 18 new horses were manufactured from fiberglass molds of the original steeds to ensure they stayed true to the design. The fiberglass molds will be used when building the carousel for Tokyo Disneyland, and they would also serve as temporary stand-ins when the original wood horses were taken down for repairs. The additional horses were purchased from 2 other well-known manufacturers of carousels, the Densel Company and the Parker Company. Those who would oversee the refurbishment of the project would be Imagineer John Hench and Disney craftswoman Isle Vaught. Assembled with wedges and wooden pegs instead of screws to prevent cracking, the horses were stripped and taken down to the bare wood for repairs, new paint, and refinishing. The carousel's main center pole was replaced as well. Working with famed Disney Imagineer Joyce Carlton, the artist and designer credited with creating the It's a Small World ride of singing children, Vaught brought the horses back to life. once a wide variety of colors, they were all painted white with a splash of color added to the saddles, blankets, and bridles. The tails and the manes were also painted in various hues. There were originally 2 chariots on the Liberty. When the carousel was being readied for Walt Disney World, the 2 original chariots were removed so more horses could be installed. These chariots soon disappeared and could not be located by vault or hedge. It was decided that later on, many guests, including the handicapped, would rather ride a chariot. It was suggested that the fiberglass molds be made from old photos, but Vault insisted that everything be original. After years of searching, one was discovered in 1997 in a Disney warehouse in California, and 4 horses were cut back to make room for the rediscovered chariot. So, of course, while I was editing this video, I happened to realize there was a difference between the first and the second chariot that I showed you. So, I went on a wild goose chase to find out why was this different. I came across a website, Meyer Movies, and he was a former cast member who worked with Al Vaught, who actually said that the 2 sleighs that were on the original carousel were actually on Disneyland Paris's carousel. He actually goes into detail to talk about why the chariots are so different. The reason was being that Disney preferred a new bench type structure that was compliant with the American with Disabilities Act. So in order to meet that requirement, they had to take out the old chariot. Because this was written in 2017 and because he's no longer a cast member, I have no way of knowing whether or not this is the original piece or whether or not it's fiberglass made from the molds that were created. I'm really wondering if someone can give an answer to that. If you do know, please feel free to leave an answer in the comments. And while on his website, I actually found an article that he wrote that included all these amazing pictures from the time that the carousel was in New Jersey to its early days at the Magic Kingdom. I knew when I saw them, I had to show these photos in this video. I also found out that the original organ that was made in Italy is no longer on the carousel, and that the sound just comes from the speakers, and no one actually knows where this organ is today. You can see that in some of these photos, the horses are actually standing, but when Disney acquired them, they ended up making them prancers. And with a brand new look, the carousel was finally ready for its next chapter. When Magic Kingdom opened in 1971, this beautifully restored carousel took on a new identity, Cinderella's Golden Carousel. It was called Cinderella's Golden Carousel with 2 R's to reference the French word for the original, as well as the fact that it was the French version of the Cinderella tale that inspired the Disney animated feature. Disney Imagineers transformed it with hand-painted scenes from Cinderella, making it feel like something straight out of a storybook. One horse in particular stands out, a white horse with a golden ribbon on its tail. Many Disney fans believe this is Cinderella's personal steed, waiting for guests to take it for a ride. But this myth has since been debunked by Al Vaught. On June 1st, 2010, Disney rebranded the ride as Prince Charming Regal Carrousel, introducing a new backstory. Following their fairy tale romance and happily ever after wedding, Cinderella and Prince Charming took up residence in Cinderella's castle. With peace throughout the kingdom, Prince Charming had time to practice for jousting tournaments. In the countryside near the castle, he built a training device of carved horses on which he could practice the art of ring spearing, a tournament event in which a knight rides his horse full speed, lance in hand, toward a small ring hanging from a tree limb, with the object of spearing the ring. This event was known by various names throughout the lands, but generally came to be called Carousel. The carousel device drew the attention of the villagers who wanted to take a turn on this amazing spinning contraption. So Prince Charming had a second carousel constructed closer to the castle where everyone could take a spin on this wondrous invention. Instead of a working knight's training device, however, this new carousel is more befitting its regal location in the castle courtyard. Its rustic training horses replaced with ornately decorated prancing steeds adorned with golden helmets and shields, flower garlands, feathers, and other festoons. Prince Charming invites one and all to test their horsemanship skills and to enjoy their own happy ending. Now, before we wrap this up, here's some other fun facts you may not have known about the carousel. The carousel is the oldest ride in Magic Kingdom. Since it was built in 1917, this carousel is technically the oldest attraction in all of Walt Disney World. It spins counterclockwise. Unlike most American carousels, which turn clockwise, this one moves counterclockwise, a tradition carried over from European-style carousels. Each horse is unique. Every single horse has its own distinct design, color scheme, and personality. Still maintained by hand, Disney artisans meticulously repaint and restore each horse to keep it looking flawless for future generations. There are 2,325 lights on the attraction. While on the attraction, guests can hear classic Disney songs. These include Hakuna Matata, Hi Ho, Feed the Birds, Be Our Guest, Chim Chim Cheree, and When You Wish Upon a Star. While researching this video, I found out that Disney just recently released a Prince Charming Regal Carousel popcorn bucket. Not even gonna lie, I need this in my life. And lastly, some of the carousels built by Philadelphia Toboggan Company still exist. I'll make sure to leave a link down in the description for you to check them out. Today, Prince Charming's Regal Carousel isn't just a ride, it's over a century of history. Did you know the history of the carousel? Have you ridden any of the other Philadelphia Toboggan Company carousels? Leave a comment below and start a conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be notified each time we post a new video.